Hello fish fools, Jeff here. So here's a look at my 30-gallon planted Livebearer community tank. And I just put in a Ceraonip treat tablet. That's what they are devouring right there. It's cool how they stick against the glass and fish just friggin' love them. But I thought I would just show this while I ramble on about my enjoyment of the fish keeping hobby for a little bit. So it's been just over 2 years since I got back into the fish keeping hobby. I mean, I've kept fish when I was a kid, since I was in 7th grade, but then it had been about a 17-year hiatus since the last time I kept fish until I decided to get fish again. And it was 2 years and 2 days ago when I got my first fish. It was July 24th, 2017 when the first fish I got was a pair of marigold varieties platies and a female blue guppy. So those original fish have died, but most of the fish in here are their descendants. All these marigold varieties platies and these guppies are descendants of that original blue female. And then the next day I got some more fish, including this red platy right here. So I've had her for 2 years and a day, and however old she was when I got her. So she is an old lady fish. You can see she's kind of not. She just looks elderly, I guess. But that's large Marge. She has been bigger than most of the platies, and I don't really name my fish, with the exception of her. Plus it gave me a chance to make a Pee-wee's Big Adventure reference. But of the original group of fish that I got when I first got fish again, when I set up this tank, I had a first group of fish that I had in quarantine in my 10-gallon tank, which is now my guppy and antler hybrid tank. But I wanted to have this tank fully cycled, this 30-gallon, before I added fish in here, and I decided to put my first group of fish in that 10-gallon so that I could use some quarantine medications like the General Cure in erythromycin packets. It's perfect for 10-gallon tanks, and then I would continue using that 10-gallon for quarantining. I mean, it didn't end up staying that way because part of the reason, or the main reason, was the fish I had while they were in quarantine had babies in there. So then that ended up becoming a fry raising tank. But then a couple of weeks later, I moved the original group of fish in here, including this one. But she would be the last, or the only one of them in here. Possibly that. I did have, that could be one of the original corridors. That first group of quarantine fish, I had 3 Julie corridors. I've since got more. I had as many as 7, but that's the last one in here. Whether that's one of the originals or not, I don't know. Well, anyway, most of the fish in here are descendants of those original fish. Like, look at this one right here. That one of the first fish I got maybe a couple days after getting large Marge, or around that time, I had a male green lantern platy and a red-tailed black varieties platy. So you can see some of them like this one right here, certain angles you can see the green shine. Maybe I was just thinking of that because I just watched a video from Rich Johns and he just got some green lantern platies recently. But before I added the fish in here, that was in August of 2017, I remember I had this tank, and the first time I ever had plants, because when I was a kid, when I was younger, I never had real plants, but this Anubias plant right here was the very first plant I ever got, and it has quadrupled inside. I mean, you can see the rhizome is very long, like all the way towards the back of the tank. And then, of course, look at all these other plants I have now. But yeah, so I've been back in the hobby for 2 years. I don't think I'm going to be I don't expect any kind of hiatus. I expect to keep fish for the rest of my life, and I expect to have the descendants of these fish, like this colony of platies and guppies. I intend to have continue forever, multiple generations in the future. And there's even some shrimp in here. There's actually lots of shrimp in here. I put those in here unsure if they would even survive. I started with maybe 6 or 8, but there's so many of them now. There's a neon dwarf gourami over here. But everywhere you look, there are shrimp. There's a pandagara. And I have a couple of Siamese algae eaters in here. It was maybe 4 months ago, 5 months ago, something like that, when I was having some blackbeard algae issues. But after putting those Siamese algae eaters in here, there's one right there. Eventually they did clean up the blackbeard algae. So there used to be a bunch of it sticking on this bacopa here, the edges of the Cryptocorin lutea, some on the Anubias over here. This thermometer was covered with it. But yeah, I continue to enjoy this tank, these fish, and I love this hobby. All right, well, that's it for now. And remember, I'm Jeff, and I enjoy fishies. Thanks for watching.